Okay, chicken tractor. This is where I get my hate mail. I want to differentiate, and despite the fact that I'm going to differentiate, people are going to hate me anyway. But there's the contraption and there's the philosophy. So the contraption that we see here, this is pretty typical, about this size, like 3 feet by 7 feet and a couple of feet high. Half of it is a place for them to go and maybe lay eggs, and the other half is a place for them to get some sun. And they actually do pretty good as brooders, you know, when the chicks are still fairly young. And there could be times when a person could use it out in their lawn. But the problem I have is the philosophy. There's a book that says something like it's for permaculture chickens. So it's the word permaculture right on the cover. And it's for happy chickens. So it's, you know, kind of sound familiar? Remember the one about happy eggs? Happy chickens, permaculture. Oh man, it's got all the dreamy words right on the cover. And what it is it says, okay, you put your chickens in this very concentrated area, which is really not much bigger than a factory farm. And then you move it over to some greenery. And now here's the philosophy. You leave them there until you've reached a state of scorched earth. There is no greenery left. And it's like, so what they say is like, hey, the chickens ate all those pesky weeds. As permaculturists, do we find weeds to be pesky?
No.
I mean, it depends on the weed, really, but for the most part, no. We're like, no, weeds are cool, man. They're hard workers. They're awesome. So you move the chickens to a spot. They eat all of those pesky weeds. They scratch it up like, you know, rototill it, sort of, kind of, because they're constantly scratching, right? And then they shit all over it. And then once it's scorched earth, then you move them to the next patch of green. And that patch you just left behind, that's where you can grow your magnificent permaculture garden. It's all prepped for you and ready. And all you got to do is put some seeds in there and you'll have magnificent success. And Helen would say what? Well, first of all, Helen would be pissed because it's chickens, but let's pretend Helen's cool with the chickens. She would say what?
Hell no.
Why?
There's no long-term
You can't decimate.
plan.
You can't decimate. Sepp Holzer would probably crush that with a hammer. He would be so angry when he saw it. But really the thing is, if you go and put a bunch of seeds into chicken shit that's fresh, what's going to happen?
Burn it. It won't even sprout.
It'll totally burn it. And so the book, I believe the book is a large work of fiction. But the big thing is it's like, and the thing that really bothers me, and I wonder if I've got a thing here. So the vegetation factor, I wonder if I talk about it some more. No, okay. So I give it a -2. And I'm going to just say it. I'm not going to even ask you to guess why. But the thing is it's like, okay, so you put the chickens in that space. And this is about the philosophy. You put the chickens in that space, and the first thing they do is they eat up all the ice cream. So they found some dandelions, and they found some chickweed. Funny how chickweed is called chickweed. The chickens really like it. And they found a bunch of things that they like, and they gobbled it up. And that was 60% of it. And now it's gone. Some of it ended up having chicken shit on it, but you know, the chickens put up with it. If you turn them loose in the field, chickens won't eat chicken shit. But if you got them in this space, it's like, all right, here's what I got. I got the moldy chicken food. I've got some really delicious greenery, but it's got some chicken shit on it. And I got dirty water. What am I eating here? And it's kind of like, you know what? I'm hungry. I'm going to eat some of this moldy stuff. I'm going to eat some of this stuff with the chicken shit on it. All right, so now all the ice cream's gone. And so now 20% is going to be slightly toxic. Now, let's talk a little bit about the instinct of a chicken, which actually is the instinct of nearly all the animals that you're raising. Now, Davin, if I've got a piece of roadkill that's 4 days old, that's been out in the sun, and
From Stuart, I shouldn't eat that.
okay, yeah, but now let's say I've got it in my hand right here. Now, and you can smell it from where you're sitting.
Good or bad?
And now is your system of olfactory and taste buds and all that stuff, is that saying, please put that in my pie hole?
I suppose not.
I think that your system is saying no, extra emphasis. In fact, where's my reverse? I'm going to back the truck up away from what Paul's holding. On the other hand, if I've got a plate of fresh chocolate chip cookies and we're the same distance away and you can smell them, what's that same system saying?
I have preferences, but that sounds good.
It's like put that in my pie hole. So instinct. It's not like we were taught to find cookies delicious and roadkill to be disgusting. Now imagine if our senses were 100 times stronger. Now you're talking about most of your animals. You're talking about your chickens, you're talking about your cattle, you're talking about almost everything that you raise. And now Sepp Holzer plants lots of poisonous plants in all of his paddocks. And so every time an animal goes into a paddock, do they go and they eat the poisonous plants? Why not? Because they can smell it.
Other buffet items.
They can smell it, and their instincts say that stuff is not cool.
But they eat it to warm themselves.
Yeah.
Ah, exactly. If they've got an illness, they will self-medicate. Suddenly, that thing that was disgusting yesterday actually smells kind of good today. Just nibble on, not, chug a lug, but maybe a little nibble. And so animals have the capacity to self-medicate. And it's through this instinct combined with smell. So when the chicken is confined into this small, small pen, and they're basically given the directive of scorched earth, then they get to the point where it's the last 20%, and this stuff's quite toxic. So they don't really want to eat it. But on the other hand, it does have some nutrition along with the toxicity. In time, they will eat it, but it'll take a while because they know when they eat some, then they don't want to eat any more of that because it's toxic to them. On the other hand, their only other choice is this moldy food, this moldy dry food. And so in time, so basically, here's the thing I'm saying. This is worse than factory farming. You're literally poisoning your animals. And I'm not cool with that. And so then I expressed my discomfort and I get hate mail for it. All right. The bug factor is not very good because only whatever bugs happen to come to this little tiny cage. The poop cleaning factor is great because I don't have to clean. I just move the fucking thing and there's hardly anything ever to clean. The poop hygiene factor is not good, although once in a while the chickens are standing on fresh grass. So I suppose it's better for the chickens, slightly better than factory farms. The work factor is still pretty intense. You got to move that thing quite a lot. Natural habitat factor, very low. There's no trees and shrubs in there. The confinement factor, not that far off from factory farm. Food cost factor is pretty much the same as factory farm. I mean, you do get them to eat a little bit of the growies and stuff, and so it reduces your food, your feed bill a little bit, but I don't, maybe 10%. I was invited by Washington State University to come to their doctoral fields. These are people that are about to get their PhD in ag. So I was invited to come and observe, comment, etc., visit with the PhD candidates and stuff like that. I did have a lot to say, and they explicitly never invited me back. But okay, so here they're kind of doing. Whoops. So you can kind of see the trail that they're leaving behind. That's what these things come into, and these are they're trying to emulate Salatin. So the time I took this picture, then it's kind of like we're looking at stuff 20, 25 years after Salatin wrote about it, and I'm kind of like, seriously. I thought when you got a PhD that your thesis had to be on something like new, like and it's like, oh no, I'm just going to show people that Joel Salatin is like smart. I like when this. Now, at first I was kind of pissed off that they kind of got this scorched earth left behind because of the whole thing about the toxic plants. But actually what they did is that they round up the fuck out of this plot, and then they came back and they planted just two species, a clover and a grass. So it's like, okay, nothing terribly toxic, but if all you were allowed to eat was peanut butter and jelly sandwiches 3 meals a day, Fred does it every lunch. But if that's, I mean, do you think that would be good for you? Do you think you'd start to crave something else even? Like, I've decided to go a year without peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So anyway, I felt that the diversity was way too low, and the experiment was bad. And then of course, you know, I think in the top one you can kind of see the chickens in there. They were packed. That is a lot of chickens in there. Please do not use a chicken tractor to eliminate all vegetation. I would think that for a Permi this would be obvious, but most Permi people love the chicken tractor book. Love the chicken tractor book, and hate me because I speak out against it. You know, brooder mini coop for a paddock shift system. We'll talk more about that in a moment. If you like this sort of thing, come on out to the forums at permies.com, where we talk about animal husbandry, homesteading, and permaculture all the time.